Good morning. It's time for What's Up Wednesday, where we come to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central so we can talk about social media tips, tricks, and trends. I'm Karen Terradas with Social U, and we are entering our 15th, 16th year in business. So I love doing the live topics. I welcome suggestions. We're going to announce our November schedule Friday. So if there's anything you want to hear about, please let me know. But we're in the final countdown. We're 2 months out from Christmas. So a lot of what we're talking about is going to be holiday related. So you can get your business ready for the holidays online. So today is our very last Halloween discussion. And today we're going to talk about horror stories, of which there are many, so many to choose from. 2024 was very eventful. And thanks to TikTok, a lot of people are much more aware of what's going on. There are more very not filtered versions of stories on TikTok. It's less curated. And because of the algorithm, you're more likely to see things that are happening or trending. So just very interesting year. If you made a mistake online this year, there's a good chance somebody saw it and called you out for it. So let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes made this year. Again, so many, so many. Several different personalities were, I hate to use the word canceled, but they were officially blasted on social media this year. Being tone deaf is a dangerous thing. I have said, if you guys have been working with me or seen me at any point, I have often said, do not try to cash in on someone else's crisis. Don't have a hurricane sale. Don't have a promotion, a flood promotion. It's wrong. It's wrong to cash in on someone else's worst day ever. Well, this is exactly what happened with Oprah and The Rock during the devastating fires in Hawaii. And they decided it would be a good idea to get together online and ask other people who are struggling in this economy to donate money. They didn't say anything about donating themselves. They both have residences there. They didn't say anything about spearheading donations from other celebrities. And it really did not go over well. It angered a lot of people because why would you ask me for my donation when you're not putting in your own money? Yeah. Haley Bailey had a huge fallout after the Met Gala because she decided it would be a great idea to dress up like Marie Antoinette in front of protesters for Gaza and say, let them eat cake. The backlash was immediate and swift and horrifying. It's one of the most tone deaf things I think I've ever seen in my professional career. Truly, Marie Antoinette let them eat cake in front of people who were protesting. And this event, those tickets were $75,000 a piece. Wow. Just wow. Talking about folks who need relief, who need aid in front of an organization where there's just this giant, fancy, over the top party where people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, not only to go, but to dress up to be there. Just so incredibly tone deaf. And she knew what she'd done. Even her apology was very staged. She lives in a very expensive apartment in Manhattan, and she was very careful to stage her apology in a corner of her apartment that looked normal, where normal people would live. Yeah, very over the top. And of course, with everything that was happening with Danny Masterson, and then being um, having a reference letter from Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. It's a lot. This was a bad year for tone deaf. Okay. So there was also and I'm going to get into several of these because man, there were several, and they were just wow. Social media influencer Michaela, and I'm not really sure about how to pronounce the last name, Nagera, was paid to promote L'Oreal mascara. And she did a video. She's an influencer online. She does a lot of makeup tutorials. And she did a video where she was promoting the product and how great it makes your eyelashes look, all while she was wearing fake eyelashes. And somebody noticed and called her out, and there was a tremendous backlash. She made a video about she's just trying to make money. She's not trying to fool her followers, but that's exactly what it looked like she was doing. People really went after the beauty industry as a whole after that happened because it basically says you can't trust anything you see. People are trying to sell you stuff when they're super, super filtered, and that's just not okay in 2024. On National Women's Day, recently, this didn't happen in 2024, it happened in 2021, but it bears repeating. Burger King in the UK posted a clickbait tweet that said women belong in the kitchen on National Women's Day. There was something else this year that happened that we will not get into here, but the tweet was intended to get readers to engage with the tweet itself and then go get dinner. But that intention originally was made to promote a scholarship program for female employees at the restaurant or in the restaurant industry, but it was incredibly insensitive. It did not land well, and the message went super viral. Burger King could not delete that fast enough, and of course, they had to issue an apology because just ridiculously tone deaf. One of my favorites from this year, they are calling it the Bumble Fumble. For those of you guys who have been on any kind of dating app in the last couple of years, Bumble is a popular dating app. They have had a lull in their activity online, so they thought it would be fun to launch a campaign. They did this on billboards, but they also had other media that supported the same messaging. They had two billboards that said, one said, you know full well vow of celibacy is not the answer. And then they had one billboard that said, thou shalt not give up on dating men and become a nun. Super, super incredibly tone deaf. They received extreme backlash and they had to apologize after social media users they were just attacked online. Even there was even nuns, organization of nuns came forward to address the whole celibacy issue because it's not necessarily something that you're involuntarily participating in. For a lot of people, it's a life choice based on their morals, ethics, and religion. And it just did not go over well. They are basically had this whole entire campaign geared up for, women should just be more available. And it's in the middle of an era of Me Too where people are finally becoming more comfortable to talk about their own history and their own abuse. To have something like that, just incredibly tone deaf, seriously tone deaf. Of course, they removed the promotion and they had to issue an apology, but it did not go well for them. Nike had a campaign basically that said winning isn't for everyone, and they faced severe backlash and had a huge PR crisis for this ad campaign. It was supposed to be promoting exclusivity and elitism, but it was perceived as insensitive and alienating to many consumers. So if you're not the one of the 1% that wins at the Olympics or that wins in your sporting good, then you're not supposed to be qualified enough to wear their shoes. They had to pull the entire campaign, issue an apology, and really have worked to restore their image of diversity and inclusivity because it did not land well with the public. Kellogg inspired a boycott this year when the CEO of Kellogg, Gary Pilnick, announced in a media campaign that he suggested he understands everybody's struggling right now and money is tight. So instead of reducing prices or reducing cost for their product, he suggested eating cereal for dinner as a family to save money, and consumers, that did not go well. The strain of grocery prices have been terrible the last 24 years. Inflation has hit everybody pretty hard. To suggest that instead of raising your employees' wages or lowering the cost of your products after you've had a record-breaking 2 years, record-breaking revenue in the last 2 years, to say, well, it's terrible if you're poor, you should eat cereal. It was not perceived well. It inspired a tremendous boycott of Kellogg's cereal. And they felt it, but wow, a lot of backlash there also. Of course, we've had personal, and I'll tell you a couple of personal stories, but I would say the biggest one of the biggest issues this year for social media nightmares, somebody figured out at some point that there was a glitch with the ATM at JP Morgan banks. It happened over the long weekend. It was a holiday weekend, and they figured out that you could deposit a check and the bank would make the entirety of the funds available immediately instead of what normally happens where you have access to some of the funds but not all of the funds. And when people started figuring out they could get access to all of the money instantly, several people decided they would write checks to themselves for hundreds or thousands of dollars. There was one individual that wrote a check for over $300,000 and had access to it immediately. And the glitch in the system allowed that money to be pulled out. Wow. And they, again, the folks who were doing this online didn't do it in a small way. They did it in a huge way. And once they were depositing these checks, they were taking out the money and then recording it and publishing it online. Well, when JP Morgan realized what's happening, and to be fair, they're the largest chain. They're one of the biggest banks in the world. So they're going to get their money back. When they realized what was happening after the long weekend was over, they seized accounts for everyone involved in the glitch and started criminal prosecution to get their money back. And a lot of these folks just didn't understand. Well, I had $1,000 in my account and I wrote a check to myself for $5,000 so I could go ahead and access all of it. Where's the $1,000 I had? Oh, we seized that to pay back what you removed. So not only were they liable for the money that they removed, they also sought criminal prosecution. So it did not go well. Just a side note, if you're going to do something illegal, maybe don't record it and put it online. Just going to throw that out there. Maybe don't tell everybody you know. Just a thought. Now, these are some of the larger national nightmares that we've seen online where you see the fallout online. But of course, as you guys know, we're a social media organization and we've had glitches. Everybody makes mistakes. It's very normal to have a post for a client that you post on the wrong page or the wrong account. Sometimes it goes wrong in a big way where you'll schedule an entire week's worth of content. And it's for the wrong person, wrong account, wrong business. It happens. It's happened to everybody. That's one of those things you kind of have to try to brush off and recuperate from. We have, of course, everybody, my entire team, we've all made mistakes. I'm probably the worst. It happens. It's just impossible, I think, to avoid. But I think one of the best things you can do when these nightmares are yours is to address it swiftly, succinctly, and deal with the fallout. If it's something you did, you own it. Take responsibility for making the mistake, issue an apology, and keep moving forward. That's about all you can do when you make an unintentional mistake. But I would also tell you have a good crisis plan in place so that you know how to deal with the fallout when it happens. Becky, yeah, we've all done it. We've all done it. One in particular that I think is hilarious. We had a couple of years ago, we were doing a presentation and one of our team members makes slides for me. And the presentation happened to be at a movie theater. And slides look very differently on your phone than they do on a 40-foot movie screen. And one of the slides had a laptop and a coffee cup. And it wasn't until it was on the 40-foot screen that we realized there was nudity on the coffee cup in front of a full audience of people, which jaw dropper. But yeah, we own that. We realized something was broken. We apologized to move forward. It's still funny. It was accidental, but yeah, accidents like that do happen. If you do need assistance, if you do have a crisis, we are happy to help you cultivate your crisis plan. But as the business, as an organization, double check everything before it gets posted and make sure you have a process in place to deal with it in case of emergency. Yeah, I've recently never, yeah, everybody's made mistakes. It's not a big deal. It does happen. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. We, of course, talk about a lot of this stuff in our podcast. If you want to check that out, we'll include a link in the comments. And we will be back next week with brand new content for the month of November. Until then, if you have suggestions, please let us know. Until then, I'm Karen Taradas with Social U, and I'm here to help. Thanks.